Hey, what's up? First of all, let me say that I love accents. And here in the US, of course, I'm an American guy. I've lived in the Southeast, Deep South as it's called, USA, for about 24 years, but I still maintain my inland north accent, having grown up in upstate New York. What reminded me to record a lesson on this, and I'm entitling this lesson Own Your Accent, is it's an important identifier of your heritage, at least where you grew up. I mean, the reason that I have this idea actually sprang from watching a YouTube video, and I think the personality of the YouTuber is really great, but boy, I'll tell you, I can hear in the A's when he talks about teaching a class. That's exactly how I speak. So this dude's from Chicago or Michigan, Chicago, or from upstate New York like I am. I talk to my twin sister a lot, and I tell her, I say, man, do I hear your accent. Having been in the South for so long, boy, does that stand out. I love it. My favorite U.S. accent is probably the Philadelphia accent. I love that. I love the Deep South accent, including the when you get out to the country when it gets really twangy. I like that a lot. Never really liked the West Coast accents at all. I'm definitely more of an East Coast guy. But I recognize, again, it's cultural, isn't it? What if you are in India or Europe or far in Asia or Australia? How do you feel about your accent? Do you own it? Again, for me, I think it's important for my self love, really, that I honor the way that I speak. The issue, though, and this is where I'm tying in Own Your Accent into Tim's IT Straight Talk and career advice, is be careful about clarity, speed, and enunciation because your work may involve a global audience. Mine certainly does. I teach live and I have learners all around the world. So, what I've done is I've worked on my speech intentionally. And, I have that luxury because technical training and technical writing has been my bag for a long, long time. So, I've had a long time to practice. But if not, what do you do to sharpen up things like slowing down your speech? Because you all know what it's like when there is a language barrier, when you are listening to somebody speak your language and it's your primary language, but it's their second or third or maybe fourth language. When I went to Poland last year, some of the friends I made over there knew a lot of languages, and it makes sense why. Because you're surrounded by countries. You're going to speak German because Germany's right there, and so on and so forth. So, anyway, my big challenge in terms of when I teach and present and when I'm talking, just in my job, I'm working with people all around the world. And I mean, I have no problem politely asking for clarification. If somebody's accent and their enunciation mixes to the point where it just sounds like wah, 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 I'll just say, I'm sorry, I couldn't make that out. Would you please repeat that again? Ask for clarification. And on my side, it's just been a self-training thing. I tell people that, how do I phrase it? Really, there's a great education in watching your own presentations. I mean, I understand it can be cringy, and it would be for me as well. The only reason it's not cringy for me to listen to my own voice and to see myself on video is because that's what I do as a career, so it's natural to me. But I honor and recognize it's not natural to probably 99 point something percentage of the human population. So it takes some willingness and dedication. In other words, I submit that you'll need to actually put in some reps, some work on sharpening your language. And the way that you can do that with your accent, keeping your accent and personality, but widening your audience of who can understand you, is to get some recordings of you speaking in various contexts and listen to them. No, it's not a narcissist. I don't think a narcissist would do that because well, that's another story. Let me just say that, yeah, so capture your recording. Even, I mean, if your Zoom calls are recorded, I mean, any opportunity for you to see yourself, particularly extemporaneously. Here's an idea. Let's say that your team at work uses Zoom, and let's say you do record meetings, okay? I would set myself a reminder for a week from today to check back of the previous week's recordings if you have access to them and see if you can ask them. And I would ask my manager at Pluralsight instantly, hey, could I have that recording for self-development purposes? It's generally not a big deal, but of course it depends on the company. But the goal is to see yourself when you don't know you're on stage, just the way you're communicating organically with a group. And maybe if you're doing a stand-up report or something, you know the spotlight's on you. But by taking a non-judgmental, objective look, how do I sound? Put yourself in a persona of someone who's never seen or heard you or experienced you before. And listen from an out. I know it's easier said than done, but listen to yourself, listen to your voice, look at yourself on the screen from an objective observer's point. So there's no judgment. There's no thought of yuck or great. The binary stuff goes away. This is all spectrum and continuum stuff. And by looking at yourself and listening to your voice in that objective way, you sidestep all, and believe me, I speak from personal experience on this, you sidestep all the self-criticism and shame, which you spin out into the ditch doing that. But you stay on track and say, oh yes, look at that. I do that and I don't even notice that. Okay, noted. All right. Ooh, I kind of like that. Looks really good. And making these notes, just like an objective inventory kind of deal is what I'm talking about. None of this is novel or new information, of course. Yeah, geez, I was kind of on a creative tear there for a while. I lost my place. What other notes do I have? Well, I guess I don't have to go for the full 10 minutes here. I'm going to tease you with what I'm going to do in my next YouTube video. It's funny when you're when you are a creative, what's the term? Content creator. There it is. When you're a content creator, especially when you're publishing to the world, it's an interesting thing to interact with your own work. For example, this is kind of funny. In the past years, I know that when I've been solving problems in my job or doing my work, I might go to Google, like all of us would, to look, and I would wind up seeing one of my articles, the reference that I needed. Because when I wrote the article, I was smart on such or so a thing. Got paid for the article, the check cleared, and the information dumped out of my head. And then years later, I need that info. And to find yourself online organically is a pretty unique experience, as is going into a Barnes & Noble, if any of those still exist, and seeing your own books. I'm deeply grateful and fortunate to be able to say that I've seen and done that. So it's a context of speaking not just within your own people. I mean, when I think of my grandparents, they lived their whole life in East Syracuse, New York, and their family going back. It's interesting how the family was just so clannish and close, and now we've spread out so much organically. Similarly, with my communication as a teacher or a presenter, anytime I'm on, even frankly, these YouTube videos, I have to be on from a certain perspective, because if I don't bring it, if I don't bring the game, if I don't bring my effort, then I am failing. I hate to use a binary as an example, but I mean, pass, fail. Am I delivering you valuable content as I see it? Yes or no? And even I guess if it's 50.5% yes, that's enough for me. But those days, I'm grateful to report, are pretty few and far between lately. I know that'll change. So in closing, I hope that you can use your accent as a way to express your personality, and by putting some work into your speed, intonation. We could talk separately about that, how you do those things mechanically. But put some work into making your language more globally available. And I submit it will pay big dividends in your IT career, and I submit if your experience is like mine in your personal life as well. Later.